week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael New Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 333. Mr. Somich.
Woohoo! Huzzah!
I was waiting for something there. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. It's a nice day in Minnesota, which means it's like mid-30s, but that means you can go outside and have some fun. So that's we'll take mid-30s any day of the week over like the teens that we were at yesterday.
Hey, mid-30s in Minnesota towards the end of December. It's almost a heat wave. I mean, you got the coats that are hung up on the back wall behind you because you don't need them to go. Everybody else is outside. They don't need the coats because it's actually 33 degrees right now.
It's nice, man. There's a lake like right in their backyard, and you have people who like snow blow off ice areas. So there's like ice rinks that are building up, and they have like a broom hockey tournament on Christmas Day over on the lake. And so it's kind of cool to see all that start to set up. It'll be perfect. You kind of want like the heat to melt some of the ice, and then that cold rush to come in, just flatten out the surface after you're done shoveling it. So yeah, it's been good, man. It's a little different than being in California or being in North Carolina. It's a little different culture up here, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got the in-laws flying in late tomorrow evening, and they're going to be here for a week. So that's pretty exciting because it means someone, more hands to help out with Colson, and they'll be here for his first Christmas. So we're excited for that. It's actually been pouring buckets since about midnight last night. So and it's going still strong at 2:30 this afternoon. So a lot of much needed rain in LA, which is great. But it's like if we're in Minnesota, this would be like lake effect rain coming down right now, or snow, coming down with the amount that it's happening. It's crazy out there.
It's funny because like you need rain in LA, but all of the rain at once is not necessarily a good thing because that's what creates a bunch of other problems. You kind of need that like spread out over a week and a half, and then you're good to go.
Well, on today's show, as Nick and Michael have been talking about in the chat here, we're looking at Santa Anita's opening day, one of my favorite racing days of the year, December 26th. It's opening day for horse racing fans. Might as well just be January 1st because this is the start of the new calendar year. The Malibu Stakes, the card looks incredible. 11 races at Santa Anita. 3 of the 4 in the late pick 4 are grade 1s, so that's fun. And then the 4th one, we're back downhill. It's going to be a lot of fun because I know Mike and we see that handicapping a little bit differently, but I'll be curious to see if we line up on the same horses. But before we get into it, Mike, and I'm really excited, what's the best thing you saw this week? Well,
this is actually pretty easy. My daughter built her first snowman today, so it was fun actually going out there building the snowman. Having like the snow was really powdery when it fell a couple days ago. Now it's a little more moist, and so you're able to actually roll it up into a ball and get it going. So we built a nice snowman. The other one is, I got to ask this. No, Michael, I'm not drunk already because I have a big pickleball tournament tonight. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. I've only played pickleball twice. But I did play tennis until I was a junior in high school. So pretty good at tennis. And the pickleball tennis translated over to the pickleball when I played in Los Angeles. So I'm excited to whoop my wife's family at pickleball.
That's awesome. I love how when whether it's your family or your wife's family, when you guys get together, it's always like some big tournament, and it makes sense because of who you are. And I say this lovingly, but it makes total sense with who you are. It's just like the rest of us, we go back to our families, we sit around the fire and relax. And Somich goes home, he's like, "Okay, everybody, tournament now, pickleball in the garage."
What are we competing at? That's all I want to know.
Are we like who can stuff the most marshmallows in? I got 3 to 5 on Grandpa Jack. That's great. Best thing that I saw, the Racing Dudes Fantasy League draft was on, what was that, Tuesday night? Yeah, so 2 nights ago. It was a lot of fun. If you guys watched live or you caught the replay, especially the video you saw, I went a little crazy, which was a lot of fun. I was very excited about it. I'm excited for Malibu Stakes Day. I get really excited about the Fantasy League draft because I do a lot of weird shit that I don't tell anybody about, including this guy right here. So Mike's a good sport for just going along with whatever the hell happens round by round. Really, you didn't know what was happening ever.
No, I was in the dark, but I enjoyed it. Just roll with the punches and let you dive into that heel roll, man.
It was a lot of fun. Everybody kept making, what was it, Blackjack Fletcher or Brooklyn Cowboy references. So I feel like if I go goofy with it, if I try and play up, I haven't followed Brooklyn Cowboy in a long time. I feel like I need to follow him again, really get into his persona. Maybe if I do like an exaggerated version of that, maybe that'll be the best meld for the fantasy league. But we had a great draft. We really got horses that we wanted in every spot, which is not something we could say every year. But we ended up, if you missed it, we ended up taking Doppelganger 5th overall. It's a Bob Baffert horse, so we're excited. Not excited that we got a Baffert, but we're excited about that horse. And then in the second round, we took Epicenter, who is the favorite over Rocket Dog, who actually went in the first round in the Gunrunner Stakes Sunday at Fairgrounds. So did you get a chance to look at that race yet, Mike? I just took a look for the first time today.
No, I haven't checked it out yet.
It's he drew the rail, and he's a speed horse, and there really isn't that much speed in the race. And I'm like, Aaron, can we please make this worth 5 points if he wins it? If he wins it, just give us – we want 5 points to start the year off right. Because, man, I'm excited about that horse.
You didn't insult him enough during the draft, so I'm sure he said that, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. I didn't insult him enough in that one. Yeah, no, he was a great sport. Also, I am now, along with Jared's dog Millie, apparently officially a winning microshare owner at Parks because Lady Valentine won earlier this week. And then today, Provocateur broke his maiden at Tampa Bay Downs. So, yeah, that's exciting, I guess. I've got 2 horses I can say have won at weird tracks like that. It's nothing to get really too excited about, I guess. I'm not going to really put it in a frame behind me.
I don't know, man. You're just checking them off one by one now, right? I mean, you got to be ahead of Aaron at this point.
Oh, I'm definitely ahead of Aaron. Yeah. Now, in terms of wins with my actual name printed on the win photo, Aaron definitely has me beat by however many to 0. I know he has at least one because I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm at 0 too. All mine say slam dunk on it, so you got me there too. I guess and my racehorse.
Well, Mike, today we're going to be looking at the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Sunday, December 26th, opening day, 3 grade 1s, including the headline event, the Malibu Stakes. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up. Got lights falling off over here. Everybody's excited about Malibu Day. Getting off the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Sunday, December 26th. Race, I believe this is race 8 on the card. Yes, it is the Grade 1 Brea Stakes. Field of 7 3-year-old fillies sprinting 7 furlongs on the dirt here. Favoritism is on Private Mission, the number 4 horse, at 8-5. If she sounds familiar, she's cutting back after setting an unbelievably wicked pace in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Finished last. She went from 1 1/8 to there. Now she's back to 7 furlongs. Her wins have been from 6 furlongs to 8.5 furlongs, so theoretically the distance shouldn't be an issue. I'm taking a complete pass against her, though. Are you using her?
I am. This is an interesting sequence because we got Flightline that's going to come up in the 3rd race. I think is a pretty tough horse to beat. So you got to figure out how you're building your tickets around that horse if you are going to try and single Flightline. For me, I thought this race kind of went through the Bafferts. So I started out with the 3 and the 4 horse. The 3 Calypso is actually my top pick. If you look how Calypso was running before the layoff, and this horse hasn't been at the track since April 30th, 2021. The numbers were on par, better than Private Mission. Now, we just haven't seen this horse take a step forward because we haven't seen this horse. Last time we did it was the 8 Bells at Churchill, and the horses walked off the track going 7 furlongs. I think Calypso has a chance to take a big-time step forward here, and what I like about Calypso is specifically that race 4 back at Santa Anita, June 3rd, going 7 furlongs, was able to stalk and win. There is a lot of pace in this race. I think Private Mission, the 4 horse, and the 7 horse here, Living My Best Life, are going to really knock heads early and take it to each other. That's going to create some issues for both of them. I think both of them have a chance holding on. I think they're both pretty classy fillies here, but I think it's going to set up for a horse that's going to come from off the pace to have a good run at him. And I think Calypso is the horse that's going to be sitting right behind the 2 of them and kind of get first shot here. So I'm going to start with the 3 on top, and the 4 was my other must use.
So Calypso, the issue I have there is that she doesn't have a single race where she's done well where she has not been on the lead, like sole lead. I know there's the one where the Santa Ynez, she was second by a head early. But otherwise, her past performances say that to me that she has to be on the lead. And like you said, I think she's at best the 3rd fastest horse early in this race. So that's why, unless she gets sent on a suicide pace here to just go after the 7, I don't think she's going to do it. I also don't think Flavien Prat's going to try and do that with Private Mission. She actually, the 2 times that she won for Prat, the Zinnia and Torrey Pine, she actually sat off just a length. So I know that was routing, but we're going 7 furlongs here, so slightly different setup here. I really think that the 7 is going to get the job done gate to wire. So that's actually my top pick here, is Living My Best Life. If you think about tracks like Santa Anita, Keeneland, Saratoga, big days, the dirt track really plays tight, and speed will be able to carry. This horse is exiting a 2-turn mile race, so she is cutting back from that. She's got Sadler in her corner. She's got Juan Hernandez still staying in there. I think that this horse, if she gets loose, if the pace sets up like how I described, if she gets loose early, she could be gone.
Yeah, I mean, she's not getting loose early, so I think you're kind of crazy there. I don't see any way that this horse is quote-unquote loose. And by loose, I mean a clear length ahead. She's not going to cross. There's going to be a horse inside of her that is at least pushing her to the 2-path. I don't see how Private Mission's faster than her. I mean, just naturally faster than her. So I think that's a huge issue here for Living My Best Life. I don't see any way Pratt gives up the rail. I think that's going to be the biggest problem for the 7.
Yeah.
I did use the 7. It's my 4th horse on the ticket because I do think that there's a scenario here where the 4 doesn't break and the 7's able to get there, something like that. But I think that it's going to be a lot harder for the 7 to clear than you're necessarily expecting, just because there is a lot of speed to the inside.
There is. The reason I was saying that the 7 is fast is time form early pace ratings. Living My Best Life is 125, Private Mission's 116. So in that regard, but 9, anything less than 10, I think you're starting to get a little splitting hairs a little bit. But it will be very interesting jockey tactic wise between Pratt and Velasquez what they do.
Well, my 3rd horse in is actually your other horse that you used in this spot. So I'll kick it to you, let you talk a little bit about this last horse, and I'll fill in the gaps when you miss them.
Canoodling. I like this horse.
Strong name. Strong name.
First of all, owned by the same people who own Bye Bye Bobby and Bye Bye Jill. That Aaron talked about, if you missed it on Blinkers Off, how they own the horses that are named Bye Bye Bobby and Jill. So canoodling, I couldn't think of any way how that relates to the Bafferts, but it's still pretty funny. Shows up here first time for Mike Pipey. He's had her for a little bit. She got to take a spin over the track, so I like that since she's been with Pipey. He's 27% with a really strong ROI. I also really like that Chirinos comes in for this ride. Chirinos really hasn't had a bad ride. The one time she lost was to Boys, and it was by a half length, and it was routing. So I really think the reason I used her, Mike, on top of all of that, if there's a pace duel, especially between the 2 Bafferts or a Baffert and the 7, I think she's going to be sitting that perfect trip to just come flying right off. So I like everything that she's been improving. What did I miss?
She ran well in California as a 2-year-old too. I think that's key. Is that she's you see a lot of this Houston, Lone Star, Ruidoso Downs, Zia on her form, and you might say, oh well, not really a California horse. This horse has been running against worse. Well, during her 2-year-old campaign, she ran stakes races here in California. They were on the turf, albeit, but she still ran in stakes race here. Did go 6.5 on the dirt in a stakes race as well. So. She has faced this level of California-esque horses before. I like the fact that she's versatile. I like horses that like to win. She's 6 for 12 lifetime. Yeah. This horse likes to win. She hasn't missed the money yet in 2021. And I like the fact that we've seen some solid improvement here. We get second off the layoff, which is a good thing. You mentioned she ran well over the track. First time Pipey is a good thing. So there's a lot of different angles to like here. And on top of that, you're getting 8-1 and clearly the most likely horse to pick up the pieces here if they do fall apart.
One thing I'll mention, too, if you look at her buyer speed figures have been improving, and she got an 87 there. If you're worried about a bounce at all, Casual, who finished second in that race, won the Remington Park. It was a stakes race. I can't remember which one it was, but got a 92 buyer for winning that. So that horse finished second and got a 92 buyer. So that should also help you like canoodling here. And I really think with having 2 Bafferts plus Living My Best Life, I think 8-1 is. I think we might get more than that, right?
Yeah, I think that might float up. I mean, we didn't even mention Missy P, who's a second choice on the morning line at 5-2. Neither of us are using this horse. To me, this is a fade horse here. If Missy P wins, I'm a loser.
Yeah, that's the way I looked at her. I was really excited about her when she debuted and ran like a monster. That I'd heard about. This is a full Tamiya Mischief who won the Grade 1 Humana Distaff, which is a 7 furlong race. But with the layoff, she had a tieback surgery. So how is she going to run off of that? I was waiting to see if Mandela was going to do a 3 furlong blowout. And I was like, if he does a 3 furlong blowout, I'll put her on the ticket because she's got 7 and 6 furlong works coming into this. And I know it's off a layoff. He's trying to get stamina, but I feel like with the horse coming off a layoff in a sprint, you want a little bit more pep in her, right? So unless I see a 3 furlong blowout show up in the next day or two, I'm going to keep her off my ticket. Let's move on. Second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Sunday, December 26th. We're headed down the hillside turf. I'm very excited for this one. It's a non-winners one other than allowance race, attracting 9 fillies and mares 3 and up. Favoritism is on the rail horse with Fantail. By the way, Flavian Pratt is on the favorite in all 4 of these races in this sequence. Fantail missed by a nose. and a 6 furlong sprint going on the flat turf oval last time out. He keeps them out here. Will she finally get win number 2 and start number 14?
I'm using Fantail here, but not putting Fantail on top. I actually kind of like a price on top here. Let's go to the 6 Kalleward. I don't usually like horses first time against winners. I talk about that quite a bit. The one exception is in turf sprints. I think turf sprints is a little easier to win first time out because it's just a more condensed race. And when you look at Kalleward and what this horse has done the last couple races, you see that nice win last time at Del Mar going 5 furlongs, actually ended up dead heating. The third place finisher came back to win. The race 2 and 3 back, I think, are really interesting. So the race 3 back, look, Espinoza, I didn't love the ride. Blinkers were on. The horse essentially rushed up, and it was a slow first quarter, which I think really forced the horse's pace early. But then they flew in the second quarter, going 22 and 2 to get to a 45 and 3 first half. The horse didn't really want to be that forwardly placed. If you see, all the best efforts are coming from off the pace. I think the blinkers were a mistake. I think that second quarter actually just burnt up the horse. If you take those 2 races out, this horse has improved every step of the way. Now we get a nice little break, and now we're coming back down this hill. The horse has experience, run twice down the hill. The first time down the hill, actually handled it fairly well, which I like seeing the experience down the hill. This is a 4-year-old, first off the layoff, late in the season, obvious improvement angle. The horse should get a nice pace to run into. I love the 8-1 price, so I'm going to put the 6 Kalleward on top.
I love the 6 horse. I love everything you mentioned. I have one correction. None of the horses in this field have actually run down the hill that was out of the turf chute, so they were going flat. I went through this yesterday, and it tricked me like 6 times.
Really?
It's got to have the little asterisk, and the asterisk means it's down the hill. Yeah, because I was like, I had the same thought, and I went to go watch it, and they were starting on flat, and I went, well, shit, there went that angle. But I agree with everything else that you said. Also, someone else who really likes this horse, if you go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/racingdudes, I put up the Malibu Stakes card trip notes, picks and preview that I recorded yesterday with Justin Christine. Justin really likes Kalan as well, and a lot of it is because of that maiden effort last time out that you talked about, combined with the fact that you also do not have a very strong race here. Like, for this being in this pick 4 sequence, surrounded by 3 grade 1s, there really isn't any talent in this, like strong talent that I see on paper here. So I think, like you mentioned, I don't like to play first up, against winners here in this spot, but this is not a very strong one. So we agree on the 6. My top pick here, so I used 3, we agreed on all of them. My top pick is just to the outside a little bit. The number 8, Another Eddie. This horse I'm pretty excited about. I think Another Eddie's going to get a really nice mid-pack trip and get a clear run at the top of the stretch. This is a California bred, but she almost defeated Open Company last time out. Older Open Company, I should say. And she really seems to be progressing into form in this spot. My one concern with her is that in that dirt race last time out, she jumped the dirt tracks when they're coming out of the chute. She's got to go over the dirt tracks coming down the hill. I'm a little concerned. Is she going to jump over those dirt tracks too and maybe get a little screwy? I think it might have cost her at least second place in that last race. Did I miss anything that you liked about her?
No, I mean, that was, to me, one of the big things. They were flying early, 21 and 4, 44 and 1 on the last 2 starts that this horse had. I think you're going to see a little more forwardly placed Another Eddie today, because I don't think they're going to be going as fast down the hill here. And I think she beats Fantail if she doesn't jump over the track there. And she was steadied early. I mean, so you have these 2 specific issues early in the race. I think that the 8 horse is a big shot. 8 and the 6 are my 2 must uses. So I love the inclusion of the 8 here. And I think the 8 should be a shorter price than the 1, because of the trouble that you had last time versus the perfect trip you had on the 1 Fantail.
Let's talk about a horse that Dennis just brought up in the chat here. The number 5 horse, Glesga Gallus, is the 3rd horse I used, and I know you used as well. 10-1 for me. This actually kind of looks like Lone Speed. It has a time form early pace rating of 103. That's 10 points higher than the number 9 horse, Christmas Surprise. Making a major class drop here. North American racing debut for this Irish bred. Comes on Breeders' Cup weekend in the Grade 2 Golden Cove against older horses. You know who else was in that? Going Global, the favorite in the Grade 1 American Oaks 2 races later. One concern, 0 for 9 on the turf. Don't love that, but that was overseas. Now that she's going to get firm turf in Santa Anita, get the class drop. She also had 2 stakes wins overseas on synthetic, so the talent's there. Can she get it done on turf? I think at 10-1 with this pace setup, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is kind of the unknown horse, right? We really don't know how good this horse is. One thing I will say that you didn't mention, the races that were the worst overseas were the mile races. Now we're here at 6 furlongs or 6.5 after going a mile first time out. I think this is the right distance for this horse. And I think you've got a big shot here. I like the fact we're also first time Lasix because that's a logical way for a horse to improve. So excited about adding Lasix, excited about the distance, excited about the price. We'll see what we get on race day. But this is one of those where it's kind of like not really sure what to expect. I agree with you. This horse could be your early leader. There may not be a ton of pace pressure. The distance might hit this horse right between the eyes. I think the 10-1 is definitely worth a use.
No hunch play on the number 9 Christmas Surprise the day after Christmas?
No. I looked at this one, but like it just, I don't see how the horse wins. And so when you get to that point, you just kind of have to pass on it. Did beat Kalleward a couple back. So if you want to use the horse, you can. I am going to include Fantail too on the rail. I think Fantail could get a good trip and is clearly good enough to beat this field. The horse doesn't love to win, which I don't like. It hasn't won yet in 2020 or 2021. I expect you're going to see the price go up a little bit on Fantail on race day, which is one of the reasons I'm including here. I'm also singling in the next another, so I'm going to use the one Fantail as well.
Jesus, she did. It was 2019 when she broke her maiden on debut at 2. And then,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, too, is it's Flavien Prat on the turf, and I'll give you guys a little tip the hand for the American Oaks. Mike and I each faded Flavien Prat on the favorite in a turf race. I chose this race. Mike chose the next one, but a little insight into how we worked things out. The penultimate leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita on opening day, December 26th, race 10, is the Grade 1 Malibu Stakes. There are 7 3-year-olds sprinting 7 furlongs on the dirt. Favoritism is on number 5, Flightline. He's 4-5 on the morning line, so he's probably going to be about 2-5, maybe 1-5 when they go off. Mike and I singled him, so we don't need to talk about this race. Let's move on to the next one. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we should talk about it a little. Look, Flightline looks like a monster. If Flightline runs back to the last couple efforts, game over, good night, have fun. Don't forget to tip your waitress. The horse that I think is interesting here is unfortunately the 7 triple tap for Bob Baffert. I mean, this is a horse that was heavily touted, came back, ran huge Breeders' Cup weekend. Now you're going to see second off the layoff here. I think triple tap has a shot. I think Stiletto Boy is interesting underneath. Obviously, Dr. Shivel is another one that should run big. But I want to talk about Baby Yoda because we talk about this all the time about paper tiger races. Well, like look back at the form, and there's one race that obviously stands out that is just a complete anomaly. 114 buyer rating, 3 back at Saratoga, going 6.5 furlongs. Beat Olympiad and Ducale, who both won next time out. Well, Ducale is one of those horses that we've talked about as a fade horse through the whole year. So that one's one of those that you kind of like, all right, take a step back. And the race before that, with the 93 buyer, beat Jake Rocks and Repo Rocks, which are like not good New York horses. So the 2 best numbers are completely false numbers. And somehow this horse is going to still take money. I mean, this is one of those horses I'm excited to bet against. I kind of wish this horse showed up in a softer spot so that it would actually take money. I'm afraid Baby Yoda's not going to take any money here, but this is another one where, like, long term, I can't wait to bet against this horse every opportunity I get.
I think you'll get enough quote unquote wise guy, sharp guy money on this horse to make him close to 6-1 because enough of that money made him the 3-5 favorite in the Steel Valley Sprint Stakes last time out. And you can, if you liked him in that race, you can rightfully point to that and say, look, he had absolutely horrible traffic trouble in the stretch. He had no shot. So if I liked him then, I should like him here at 6-1. That's not Mike and I agree with Mike on the speed figures there. If any horse beats him, I hope that it's the 2 Timeless Bounty because I want it to be a Michigan-bred colt who wins the Grade 1 Malibu Stakes in California, and we finally restart thoroughbred racing in Michigan again.
Yeah, but that's a completely, again, anomaly number last time out. Like, it's one of those where like the horse jumped 13 buyer points with never, ever showing anything near good enough. I think Stiletto Boy, honestly, is the interesting one at a big price. I mean, you're getting 12-1. Horses coming out of the Breeders' Cup Classic and the Awesome Again, 1.8 to 1.25 races. We're cutting back big time here. So the question really is all about the distance. But if you see them absolutely burn early, and you could with Dr. Shivel and Flightline, who both want to be out there fast, Triple Tap's got some speed, probably not enough to keep up with those two. But if Dr. Shivel and Flightline hook up, it sets up for a horse like Stiletto Boy coming off the pace.
I will be extremely surprised if anybody goes with Flightline early. I think that he's too fast. Dr. Shivel, if you remember, he won the Senior Sprint Championship on the league because his rein broke, and Pratt was just fucking go with it. A big reason for me for Flightline, honestly, I was trying to find a reason to go against him because he's such a short price. And I was like, look, Pratt had his choice of the top 3 choices in a Grade 1 race, and he went with this one. What more do I need to know? He could have easily picked the other 2, and he said, nope, I'm going with Flightline. All right, he's going with Flightline, I'm going with Flightline.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is in California, right? If this were in Kentucky, maybe you could talk me off this horse, right? Because Sadler can't ship. We're still pushing that narrative. But yeah, here in California, I don't see how you beat Flightline.
Well, Mike figures out what's banging in the background. We'll move on to the final leg of the late pick four sequence this Santa on Sunday, December 26th, race 11. It's the final Grade 1 event of the year in North America. The American Oaks, mile and a quarter on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. Really nice field in here, Mike, as far as betting options go. There's 10 of them in here. The number 10, Eddie's New Dream, is going to scratch, so there's going to be just a field of 10. You've got Chad Brown in here. Michael McCarthy, 1, 2, 3, 4 horses in this race, and your favorite is number 5, Going Global, who's done virtually nothing wrong. She won the Goldakova. I talked about that 2 races ago. I feel like you have to use Going Global, and yet, Mike, you are not. Tell me why.
Well, I just don't think Going Global is that good. I mean, the horse hasn't done anything wrong. You're right, but really, there's just one effort. That's specifically the Goldakova. That this horse has a buyer that towers over the field. I'm a little concerned that we don't want to go a mile and a quarter. The mile and an eighth races were some of the weaker races in my mind. So I'm going to hope that the extra distance isn't actually a benefit here for Going Global, and it does benefit some others. I also think 9 to 5 is a ridiculous price in a competitive race. I mean, I just Flightline at 4 to 5 is a low price, but that horse probably has a 60 to 65% chance of winning. So 4 to 5, not that ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you look at this race and you look at Going Global, this horse doesn't win 33% of the time. This horse wins maybe 15 to 20% of the time. And that 9 to 5 price to me is just way too low. So I'm gonna go 5 deep here, not use Going Global, try and find a price in the last leg.
I chickened out. I hit the L button. I told Mike before we got started. Originally, I was just 3 deep going 5, 6, 7. And then I realized that I didn't have any closers, and it's a mile and a quarter, and almost none of these horses have gone a mile and a quarter. And I'm like, I can't. It's got to be a closer. And I kept looking and looking and looking. I'm like, I don't find a closer I particularly like. And then I looked at my ticket structure, and I was like, screw it. We're going to go all in. It's still a pretty affordable ticket for me. Even if Flightline wins and I cash this and Going Global wins, this should be pretty good. So I do like a horse that you have on top, though, so tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I use Nisus on top here. And this is a horse who I thought took a nice step forward from the QE2 into the red carpet handicap, and I liked that last effort. The horse wasn't quite able to get the job done. Stalked close to the lead, got outkicked late. But I feel like you're going to see kind of a similar trip where this horse has some tactical speed, should be forwardly placed, should get a very good trip here. We're getting 3rd off the layoff, 2nd in the Mike McCarthy barn. All reasons I think you can take a step forward here. I like the fact that this horse has just faced a little bit tougher. And so I feel like getting into this race, you're going to see a nice effort here from Nisus, who faced older last time. And we're just facing 3-year-olds today. So I put the 4 on top. And then to me, the other one that was really interesting is the 7, Burgo Alley. You mentioned how you were looking for a closer. You wanted the speed. I don't see – this is like a New York style pace race for a mile and a quarter. Yeah. And Burgo Alley is the only horse that really wants the lead. The distance is a little bit of a concern. The time form – I'm sorry, the rating on the distance is a 268, which is pretty low when you're talking about that. But the fact that this horse should be loose on the lead, to me, kind of makes up for that. A lot of times horses just get brave up there. And this horse likes to battle. In the last 7 starts in 2021, we got 3 wins, 2 places, 1/3. The horse is always in there and fighting. So I'm going to use the 7 Burgo Alley as a kind of wire-to-wire threat here. I like the fact that Rispoli stays aboard as well.
This is the horse that I thought you had on top. I like Nisus as well, but Burgo Alley I really like. I looked at the Tomlinson rating for which you mentioned. It was pretty low, 268. I really look at the breeding and I don't get it, because you've got a son of Giants Causeway as the sire here, so you would think that there's some distance pedigree there. And then Delamy was a champion turf sire back in the late 90s overseas in France, and he was very good at distance as well. So I wouldn't necessarily look at this, but also to your point, this has got a New York pace style setup. Yeah, I think this could be lone pace, and when that happens, sometimes a horse that might be good at a mile and eighth tops, you give him a really nice breather on the backstretch, which Roberto Rispoli will know how to do. This horse could stretch out to a mile and a quarter pretty easily. If you let that horse get an easy break on the backstretch, she should be able to hold on, because Rispoli is going to know how to handle it. Who is the next horse up for you?
For me, I went to the 1, Fluffy Socks. This is the one horse that Chad Brown shipped in here. And, when you have these East Coast horses that come west, that's something I always look for. It's run over the Belmont track before, 2 back specifically in the Del Mar Oaks, was closing. Didn't really have as big of a kick as you were hoping, but I like the fact that this horse has improved the last 6 starts now. I don't love the fact that we're trading Rosario for Smith, but kind of have to swallow that. I think this is probably your best closer. Has faced the toughest 3-year-olds out on the East Coast, and now we're getting a little bit of a class relief here coming back to the West Coast. I'm hoping we get a little bit better trip than we did on August 21st. We're able to get the job done here.
I like Fluffy Socks. It's Chad Brown shipping to California. I was a little concerned about Fluffy Socks. I didn't use initially because Chad Brown coming over here for grade 1, you would think when you've got Velasquez in town, you've got Ortiz in town, you've got Pratt in town, none of them ride. You have to go to Mike Smith because the guys go elsewhere. I felt like that was a little bit of a, well, who else is left? There is also, you can keep in mind, Flavien Prat and Mike Smith share the same agent. So maybe they try getting Pratt. The agent said, no, but I've got Mike Smith available for you. So I think a lot of it depends on your opinion of Mike Smith in the race and his ability to handle this one. I want to go back to in the chat here. High Risk was saying toss nicest because American Pharoah's progeny on turf suck. They actually don't. They're above average. Their win rate on turf is above average. So I wouldn't say that they suck.
He's 13% on turf. He's 14% overall. He's 20% on synthetic. So turf and dirt are about the same. Synth is actually his best surface, which is surprising. But he's 13%
only
turf,
40, only 45 starters. That's why.
But it's still 20%. It's pretty darn good. But I do like DeBowie. You mentioned DeBowie with Ortiz. I love me some DeBowie on turf. I'm not going to use the horse, but I do agree DeBowie's pretty darn good.
Yeah, that's great. Whoops, boy, the chat is just flying in. Aaron wanted to know where Tiz Magician is. He's on the farm. He's taking a break. Hopefully he's in from the rain right now. But yeah, that boy ran his butt off. Who else do we have to talk about here, Mike?
Let's go to the 9 horse, Queen Goddess. This is one that I almost put on top. Look, the one bad race, it's not even that bad of an effort. It was 41-1 against Grade 1 company out on the East Coast, and finishes fifth, mid-pack essentially, 9 out the lead, runs an 83 buyer. But that was shipping across the country, running a Keeneland, getting a yielding turf. There's a bunch of things that just kind of went wrong there. So I don't see that as big of an issue. Comes back to Del Mar, runs big the next time out, improves the buyer, faces older. Now we're facing 3-year-olds again. Michael McCarthy has improved this horse almost every single start. You get Hernandez back on this horse, the 5th time riding it. The only time wasn't in the QE2. I think Queen Goddess at 8-1 is an overlay here. I think this horse is a shot at running a really big race. Again, tactical speed with some kick. That's what I'm looking for. 1.25 miles should be absolutely no problem for the Empire Maker out of 11 drop Kid Mare.
Well, you also, like, the horse that beat her, Shantasara, that day, I mean, forget the fact that Queen Goddess probably, I'm looking at her form, and I'm going to blame that on the yielding turf as much as anything for her poor performance. But Shantasara is a Chad Brown horse that Flavien Prat has ridden to back-to-back wins that include the Jockey Club Oaks at QE2. Also won the Pucker Up Stakes. This is an extremely talented 3-year-old filly. If she comes back at 4, that's going to be one of your top older filly mares in the turf division. So that's a damn good horse who beat her. You don't have a horse of that level in here. I love Going Global. I really do. Really great horse in California. Can't hold a candle to Shantasara. So definitely with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe, and we didn't mention this yet. Michael McCarthy has 4 in here. How often do you see Michael McCarthy with 4 in a Grade 1 race? I mean, it's
I didn't know he had 4 Grade 1 turf horses that were 3-year-old fillies. It's such a specific thing. Like D'Amato or Baltus. You'd be like, yeah, sure, of course. McCarthy? Okay.
Oh, it's good to see him getting some more horses, though. He's like, we've both talked about him quite a bit on this show. Love him as a trainer. Glad to see that the barn is growing. I think he's someone that you really got to respect. Last horse in for me here. I'm going to use the 3-horse closing remarks. This is the Carla Gaines horse. Carla Gaines, first off the layoff, is probably my biggest concern about this horse. Another one that was in the QE2, ended up running 6 just behind the 9 horse. The horse's effort at 1 1/8 miles was really solid last time out. Missed to Going Global, but if you watch that, it was kind of a weird trip. It was forwardly placed, got shuffled back a little bit, made a move, didn't quite have the kick to be able to get there. If you go back to 1 1/8 miles at Santa Anita over this track, just missed by a neck to Going Global on that day. I feel like closing remarks is good enough to get the job done here. Again, it's a horse that has tactical speed, should be sitting up front in a race without a ton of pace, should get a pretty good trip. Bravo's been killing it here in California, so I don't mind using him on the turf at all. And again, I just want to get around Going Global. Look, if this is one of those situations where 5 Flightline wins and Going Global wins, and you've got one of the Bafferts winning the first race, this thing isn't going to pay anything. So I feel like you got to try and fade somewhere. To me, this is the worst price of the horses that you're looking to fade, so I'm going to try and get around Going Global.
I really do. I like closing remarks a lot in this spot. Carla Gaines never ships horses outside of California, especially not California breds, unless they're really damn good. And that's what she did. And when she shipped this horse to the Keeneland, that caught my attention. I was like, shit, this has got to be like a very strong horse. She got that really nice second to Del Mar. Oh, so Carla must have thought that wasn't a fluke. And you talked about Joe Bravo. When he's on the turf, to me, that's a plus. I love Rispoli. To me, this is like a lateral move. Rispoli, brilliant on turf. Joe Bravo just as great. So I agree with you on that one. So yeah, you're going 5 deep here. You're going 1, 3, 4, 7, 9. Is there anyone, because you're not using Going Global, is there anyone else that you didn't use that maybe scares you a little bit that you're worried about leaving off?
I mean, there's 4 Michael McCarthy's. I'm using 2. That seems like it's a really dangerous way to play this race. I mean, the 6 horse I know you like in what is it? Charles dropped. Charges dropped. The 11 horse has been mentioned multiple times in the chat. Single Soul, interesting horse here. First time out of the Michael McCarthy barn. Was in the Motion barn back in New York. The horse ran pretty well in New York. Would need to improve to get it done. Missed nicest last time, but was ranked in that race. So you could kind of have an excuse. I think it's interesting that you get Jose Ortiz. If you look back, actually broke its maiden at Belmont, going 1.25 miles with Jose Ortiz, which is today's distance. So I could make a pretty good argument for the 11 Single Soul if I wanted to. I kind of went back and forth between the 3 and the 11 as the last horse on my ticket here.
One of the reasons I was like, I feel comfortable hitting the all button is because there's 4 Mike McCarthy's. I could make a legit case. I feel like for all 4 of them, I like Charges dropped at 20-1 because I think Ken DeSormo's riding as good as anybody in California on the turf course, and the horse is improving. At Single Soul, you brought up all the points to like about that, and then we've covered the other ones. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting race here. And then we even didn't talk about Core Values, who is the last 2 races that the horse was on actual firm turf, won both of them. But is shipping to California for Vicky Oliver. So plenty of options in here, and let's just fingers crossed this could get chalky. Please, God, don't let Flavian Pratt win all 4 races. I love you, but if you win all 4 races, it's going to pay like $8.
Just play a $5 Flavian Pratt pick 4 and see what happens. The Jose Ortiz pick 3 at Remington would have worked out well for you. So
that's true. Hand to God, I originally had when I spread this all out, I was going to do this ticket for $30 and then do a $10 all Pratt ticket. It's just at the favorite with Pratt in all 4 legs for $10.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible idea, but you could do it.
I did. You know what? I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? I'll get my wife a second Christmas gift instead. I'm going to take that $10, and we're going to go and do that instead.
Man, second Christmas gift for $10. You and your wife are doing it right, man. That's definitely not the budget for a second Christmas gift.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to go through the opening day, December 26th, Malibu Stakes, late pick 4 at Santa Anita Park. If you're watching us live or on replay, thanks for joining us. Take a look below. We got our tickets flashed up there. We'll go through them one last time for the podcast listeners. I will start off going 1-7 with 5-6-8, singling the 5 and hitting the all, which is 10 horses, for $30. Mike, your ticket, please.
Play a 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go 1-3-4-7 with 1-5-6-8 with 5 with 1-3-4-7-9. It'll cost you $40 for 50 cents.
If you are wanting to play the Malibu Stakes card in depth, over at racenews.com, the Malibu Stakes wagering guide Inside Track is available, so you can check that out now. If you're a monthly subscriber, it's available to download. It's in your account. You can purchase it on its own, but honestly, if you're looking to purchase that, I would start with a 30-day subscription because Kentucky Derby trail season is starting to heat up, and we're going to be doing multiple guides a month, I believe, if not in January, then very soon. So that's definitely where the value comes in because you get every guide included with that, along with every pick, every track around the country. Mike, it is our last show before the holidays, so we've got some football. I don't know if you want to talk about football, you want to talk about holidays. If you want to get out of here early because I know that you're at the in-laws, what would you like to do?
Let's talk about the game tonight real quick, the NFL game. So I think it's actually a really good one. We get San Francisco against Tennessee. San Francisco's giving 3 on the road. I kind of love me some San Francisco here. Like, Tennessee has been one of those teams I've been looking forward to bet against. San Francisco should be able to run the ball down Tennessee's throat. I'm not sure how Tennessee's able to move the ball here. So for me, I think San Francisco is one of those live favorites. I'm going to be playing them in quite a few 2 and 3 team parlays to kind of kick off the weekend.
Did you get a chance to look at, going back to horse racing, sorry, Aaron brought it up in the chat, the San Antonio Stakes, race 6. It's the older mill race. You've got Extra Hope, Express Train, Go On, Hot Rod Charlie, 8 Rings, Kiss Today Goodbye, and Azul Coast. Hot Rod Charlie taking the blinkers off. He had him on in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I don't think that's why he lost the Breeders' Cup Classic. He was facing the Go. But Aaron wants to know, does he have a chance? He's a 6-5 favorite, so. Yes.
I would expect, I mean, that's the right field finally for Hot Rod Charlie, right? Like, that's the thing. It's finally the right field for him. We talked about how, he's faced really good horses and lost them, ran well, but lost them every single time. He's finally facing the right field here. So, I think he should be able to handle that group.
You know what? Let's just have some fun here to end things. I got a burning question for you. What are your must-watch holiday movies and TV specials, Mr. Somich?
I can't think of the name of it right now. God, they're killing me. Oh, it's the Christmas one with Clark Griswold. I can't remember the freaking name of it. National Lampoon's Christmas? Is that right? I think that's right.
Oh, there's one more word, Christmas.
I don't know, special holiday.
That's how it goes with Christmas.
I don't know. Anyway, that
vacation,
movie,
Christmas
no,
vacation.
there you go. National Lampoon's Christmas. It is hilarious. Like
Yes.
it just cracks me up. And my dad watching it is even funnier because he can't help laughing at, especially when they sing the national anthem. He just loses his shit, and that always to me is entertaining. Look, man, I'm also a big fan of the animated Grinch. I think that's a really good movie. Although they were just kind of dicks to the Grinch the whole time. And so, like, I'm not surprised he turned out the way he turned out because they're just mean to him. You got to be nice to the guy. Maybe things would turn around for you. So those are kind of the two classics for me. I think, Die Hard is one of those where everyone jokes about it being a Christmas movie. Yeah, it's obviously a Christmas. It's set at Christmas, so go for it. Why not, right? But, like, it's not one of those you have to watch every holiday season. So, yeah, for me, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and The Grinch animated, the original one, are the two that I'd roll with.
So, Grinch, if you watched Dudes Who Bet Sports, you know this, but I asked Aaron a few weeks ago on the show. The Grinch, the animated one, the old one with Burl Ives narrating, that's Aaron's favorite Christmas movie. My favorite Christmas movie is, but I knew New Year's was Christmas Vacation. I watched it twice before December 1st. I love that movie so much. It's so funny. For me, it's A Wonderful Life. That's my favorite Christmas movie. I could watch that any time of year. It's one of my favorite movies, period. I think that one's great. How about this? Is there a Christmas movie or something Christmas media related that you love that other people really hate? Because I have one that's Christmas with the Cranks that I think is hilarious, and it's got like a 4.2 on IMDb.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not that festive of a person. Like, I don't listen to Christmas music. I'm not really like, all in on these movies and these specials and all that kind of thing. Like, someone mentioned the Mariah Carey thing in there, like, whatever. I thought the Snoop Dogg Christmas album was a little interesting because at least kind of flipped things on its head. Yeah, Snoop Dogg and Anna Kendrick, I think, had a Christmas album.
Whoa, that just got even better. Okay.
Yeah, so they have a song at least. It's in Pitch Perfect 2, I think. So, but yeah, there are certain interesting parts of about Christmas, but to me, like, I don't really love the movie, the musical genre. I'm not huge into Christmas carols. Like, I think it's kind of crazy how everyone puts these things out. Like, someone mentioned Mariah Carey in the chat. I think Rob Thomas put one out this year. It's kind of crazy.
Rob Thomas,
yeah,
Matchbox 20 guy.
Yeah, the Matchbox 20 guy. He had a Christmas album. It's kind of crazy how like all of this, like this, it's just like a genre that people are trying to take advantage of. But anyway, yeah, to me, it's like, yeah, I'm good. And you hear this shit all the time. That's the other thing. It's just jammed down your throat. As soon as Thanksgiving happens, it's just kind of shoved down your throat. I will say this. I do like the giant Christmas trees that get lit up. So maybe that's my favorite thing that like is thrown in your face that some people may not love. I like that you go to these malls and you see these massive trees that are all lit up and kind of cool. So I'll go with that.
Speaking of that, I know yesterday morning you were texting me lamenting that you couldn't find a spare TV to watch Hawkeye. Did you finish Hawkeye?
I did finish Hawkeye, yeah.
Okay, it's a Christmas show, so this counts. What did you think of Hawkeye?
I thought Hawkeye was incredible. I am, and I like people were bitching about them not sticking the landing. I thought they did a great job sticking the landing. I think it's, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it. I think one decision was I wish someone got away versus something happening to them because I think that, I
they
assume
still got away.
They're not dead, but I think that I would rather that just did not happen because I think that I think that storyline was ended just fine anyway. I gotta tell you this though, I love the frickin' sword dude. The husband,
yes.
That guy, he was probably my favorite character out of there, and I'm excited to see Elena and Kate and more stuff together because I thought they had exceptional chemistry the whole show, and I liked the sarcasm that Kate had during the kind of the fights as well. So for me, I thought it stuck the landing. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the whole season. I would definitely go. It's Loki, and then a close second to Hawkeye, then a ways down. I think you get WandaVision, who is a close fourth to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then a ways down to What If for me.
You didn't like What If? Listen, What If was very peaks and valleys for me. I really liked I loved the Doctor Strange stuff, but there were some things in What If that were pretty.
You had a lot of episodes that just ended, and you're like, what the hell? Like, why did this just end? And so it's kind of frustrating. I will say it's interesting. Well, you haven't seen Spider-Man yet, so we can't talk about it. I don't want to, because we're still too close to the release date for people. I got to see it. I went in with too high of expectations, which I think happens sometimes, where you walk into a movie and you just think, like, because of everything you read, you think it's the best thing ever. I liked it, didn't love it. I bet the second time I watch it, I'll like it even more.
I know Jason was talking about something else when he said that, but I'm going to call you a Grinch for not thinking that the Spider-Man movie was the greatest thing ever. I haven't even seen it yet.
It's good. But, I went there expecting it to be the greatest thing ever, which is often a problem.
Nothing's going to be Endgame. Assume that nothing will beat Infinity War and Endgame and just aim for third place. That's how I go into it.
Yeah, Infinity War wasn't like it wouldn't be in my top 5 Marvel movies.
Ooh, okay, interesting. Celeste and I actually did this after we were caught up through Shang-Chi. We haven't seen Eternals or obviously Spider-Man, but we each did our ranked every single one of them. We both have Endgame, Infinity War, and then everything else after that. For us, it's those two and then everything else.
The problem I had with Infinity War is the ending is complete BS. You knew everyone was going to come back to life. So, what's the point of even doing it? I get you had to do this, the whole thing, and it set up really interesting for the entire Phase 4 and all that jazz. But, it's kind of like Titanic. The boat was sinking. We all knew the boat was going to sink. For me, you kind of knew the end of the movie. It was just how it happened. And so I couldn't get behind it.
Okay, but on that notion, you'd hate Miracle because you know that they beat the Russians. It's oh, where's the suspense? They're going to beat the Russians. I know how it goes.
Yeah, but the sports movies, you already always know what happens going to happen anyway. You go into Hoosiers, they're not losing, right? How many teams lose the final game in any of these sports movies? So every sports movie kind of gets a pass on that front. It's how well you tell the story up until that point.
Did you know that the Dodgeball, that they shot 2 endings to it? The original movie Dodgeball.
No, I didn't know that they shot 2 endings.
So okay, so you've seen Dodgeball, right? So there's the end where the whole big thing is that Vince Vaughn puts on the bandana to block his eyes, and Ben Stiller whips the ball at him. He catches it, whips it back.
A spoiler alert for this?
And they sorry for an 18-year-old movie. Spoiler alert. Sorry. So he whips it back, and that's how they win, right? So there was the rumor is it was the original one. The original ending is that he literally whips the ball at him. It hits Vince Vaughn, and they lose. And the game, and then literally, the crowd just empties out, and they all cheer for the Global Gym or whatever they're called. Yeah. And then the credits roll over the top, and it just pans out as they're celebrating, and that's the end of the movie. And the rumor is they thought it was a really funny way to just go, bah! And take it out of the movie, and audiences hated it, so they did the other version instead.
It's the thing. It's people like the underdog to win at the end. They just do. And so in every one of those sports movies, you kind of see it. I because you said Miracle. I enjoyed Miracle. What's the Alaskan hockey movie that was great too? When the NHL team goes up there. I can't remember the name of it. Aaron probably knows. He's sitting in the chat. But there's a movie about, I think it's the Rangers playing Alaska against a bunch of Pond Ice players. And
Mystery Alaska. Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that movie.
Wonderful movie. You knew who was going to win. Wonderful movie, right? It's look, the sports, you don't have to have that same thing. If it's a suspense movie, if it's trying to surprise you, you can't know the ending. It just doesn't work.
That's oh God, that's funny. It's the it was directed by Jay Roach, who did all the Austin Powers movies. He did Mystery Alaska, like a sports dramedy, and the Austin Powers guy did it. Great. I also really love the South Park Christmas specials. I'll usually Christmas Eve I'll fall asleep.
Mr.
I have them queued up in
the Christmas poo. He
loves me. I love you.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Woodland Critter Christmas, because having somebody watch Woodland Critter Christmas for the first time is great. Because when it takes the turn where it's yay, we defeated the evil mountain lion, and all the baby cubs come out, and they're like, Mama? And you're like, oh, and it just takes that whole, oh, God. Sorry, spoiler alert for a 22-year-old comedy show.
And one of my favorite South Park moments is the first year it came out. We're sitting around on New Year's Eve, and they have a South Park marathon, and it's my dad's family, which is a conservative upstate New York, with my grandmother and grandfather who are in their early 80s watching this, and it's Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo and all this stuff, and it was absolutely exceptional just to see the reactions of everybody, because half the room is just laughing hysterically, the other half is just what the hell is going on? And what the hell is going on is also super awkward about this, because they're watching this with their kids and with their family members and everything. But it was a blast, man. Red
Sleigh Down, when they reenact Black Hawk Down, but it's Santa's sleigh.
Mr. Hanky is the shit. That is correct. In multiple ways.
Aaron says, Christmas Eve, there is only one thing to watch. That is the Hawaii Bowl. Listen, the only people who are awake late enough at night are the people on the West Coast to watch that. I don't know what Aaron's talking about. He's in New York. Listen, this has been a great show. Thank you, everybody, for following along. We'll be back after, for me, it's the new year. After December 26th, that's the new year in horse racing. So we'll be back for the new year. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Mr. Sandwich, before we go, any final words for the people?
No, it was a blast. Great year. Looking forward to do it again next year. Can't wait to get to what we're gonna hit the 500 by the end of next year.
330. Oh God, you're gonna make me do math again.
No, we're not. 2 a week. 104. 330. It would be 435 episodes.
30.
Assuming you don't do like a 20-part Dubai episode again.
Don't tempt me on that one. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll be back. Are you able to do Monday, the 27th?
Yeah, probably. We're
I
flying
didn't know
home
if you were
that
traveling
day.
or not. So
we are. We'll figure it out. I'm not sure when the flights are.
Somebody will be here on Monday for the Magic Mike Show at 3:34 to recap everything between Santa Anita Fairgrounds. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
We'll get out of here with a special tribute to Mr. Somich.
Don't drop that!
And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the play ball.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.